Okay, so my name is Jenny Bickley, and I am the Global Education Specialist for the Public Health Perspectives Japan trip. We are going to be talking today about the program that we are intending to run for summer 2022. And with me is Professor Motomo Ibaraki, who will be the faculty that will travel with you to Japan. And he has traveled for the past several years. How many times has this program run in past years, Professor Ibaraki?
I can't remember, but I went there at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, so students have been going. We took a brief pause due to COVID, but we are hopeful that the program will run again in summer 2022. So we're going to give you some more details about this program today. We will also show you a short video that has been put together about the program with some pictures. And we will also have time for some questions. So if you do have questions, please make sure that you enter it into the Q&A so that we can kind of make sure that we get answers to everybody's questions. So I will go ahead and get started. Let's see here. Okay, I've already introduced myself. So essentially, I will sort of provide support here on the ground in the US, both prior to departure and while you're abroad for your program. I will not be traveling with you, but Professor Ibaraki and another faculty or staff person from the university will also be traveling with you. So they will be the academic oversight and in-country support while you are there. So the program is scheduled to run from May 9th to 27th to the 27th next summer. So you will be organizing your own flight, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You are expected to arrive, or we want them to arrive on the 9th or the 10th, Professor Ibaraki.
Yeah, everybody should arrive Tuesday or May 9th. And okay.
Yeah, so you need to make sure that you're arrive in Tokyo by about 2 p.m. on the 9th. You'll need to, make arrangements, probably leaving the US on the 8th to make sure that you get in country on time for the program to begin. You'll spend most of the first half of the program in Tokyo. And then for the second half of the program, you will be traveling around to a variety of different locations around Japan. So you'll travel on public transportation and trains and buses to the destination, and you'll be traveling as a group at that point. So what is this program all about? This program is set up to give students an introduction to global public health concepts and practices with an emphasis on Japanese society. There's a strong focus on the equation between culture, economy, environment, and public health, and specifically the environment. So students will, take a look at the role of environmental factors and their effect on public health, both man-made and natural environmental issues that have occurred within Japan. Field trips will be included with the program fee. So you'll travel as a group to several different locations around the country to kind of, emphasize what you've been learning in the classroom and in your discussions. You'll take a field trip to Hiroshima and to Fukushima as well, amongst a few others. So as far as the credit goes, once you're admitted to the program, you will be registering yourself for Public Health 3189.03, and that is 3 credit hours for summer 2022. So the tuition charge for this program will be for 3 hours for your summer 2022 registration. It will be graded credit. And like I said, once you're admitted to the program, you will register yourself in this course just like any other course at the university. So depending on, what major or minor you're in, this course may count for a variety of different things for you. As far as accommodations, so students are going to be staying in single rooms in hotel style accommodation throughout the duration of the program. So you'll be staying at the same location as the other students. You'll be taking some of your meals together and they'll be included in your program fee. And then some of your meals, will be on your own. So you'll be able to kind of navigate around the local area to kind of find restaurants and dining facilities that would be of interest to you and in your budget. Most of your meals will be out of pocket, but there will be a handful of meals that will be included in the program fee. So right now we have not yet established the program fee for 2022, where COVID has kind of delayed many of the releases of our program fee. But when it is established, it will include your accommodation, some of your meals, your program related field trips, and then a couple of lunches and dinners. You'll also have to be prepared to pay for your 3 hours of OSU tuition that will be on top of the program fee once it is established. So other out-of-pocket expenses that you kind of need to consider for while you're kind of thinking about whether or not you can participate in the program. Your international airfare will not be included in the program fee, so it will be your responsibility to book and pay for the flight from Columbus or wherever you want to travel from to Tokyo. So one of the advantages of an individual travel or booking your own airfare is that there's the opportunity to stay a little bit longer or go a little bit earlier should time and budget allow. So everybody needs a passport in order to travel. So if you haven't got your passport yet, I would recommend that you go ahead and apply for that now. Passports are taking a little bit longer than normal. So I would, say there's anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks to expect to wait to receive your passport. So make sure that you do have that. A visa is not needed for US passport holders, but if you are a passport holder of another nationality, then you'll need to get in touch with me so we can work out whether or not you need a visa for travel to Japan. So any of your travel related expenses, so any extra luggage or shoes, if you need anything to kind of make your trip a success. Again, many of your meals will not be included. In-country personal expenses, so souvenirs, if you want to go out and see the nightlife, things like that will not be included. International travel consultations. So we ask that all students prior to departure visit either with the student health center or their primary medical care provider to discuss travel as it relates to them and their health, and both mental health and physical health. So, what do you need to consider as part of traveling abroad? You'll let them know where you're traveling to. If you are doing any additional travel, you want to mention that too. And they can kind of talk you through some considerations that you might need to think about. And then there will be a $150 application fee and a $50 administrative fee. So these will be placed on your statement of fees and accounts, and they'll be part of the payment for participation in the program. So there are some scholarships available. So our website, oia.osu.edu, has a list of scholarships. We have just passed the spring scholarship deadline, but the next round of scholarship deadlines will be in early February. So being that you are a summer term program, you are eligible to apply for the next round of our common application scholarships. If you go to our website, you can kind of go through the list of scholarships and see what you're eligible for. Scholarship applications and processes and deadlines vary, so make sure that you are kind of making plans early, kind of keeping an eye on where the deadlines are for the specific scholarships that you want to apply for, and that you're not missing any deadlines. All the programs on our website are STEP eligible, so I know that there will be some students who may use their STEP funding to participate in this program as well. And financial aid is also an option for some students. So once the program fee is released, I will put together a budget worksheet, which will kind of outline the expenses. You can use that to meet with financial aid. Sometimes the increased cost of attendance that you will incur for studying abroad will allow you to access more aid, or it might change your aid package a little bit. So it's important that you do meet with financial aid. While our office can talk you through sort of the scholarships and the scholarship process, anything on the financial aid side of things really needs to go through the financial aid office. As far as eligibility, preference is given to major or minor in public health or health biology related areas, but by no means do we typically fill the program with those students. So I would encourage students of all majors who are interested in this subject area to apply for the program. You do need to have a GPA of 2.5 or higher, and you do need to have completed at least 2 years of undergraduate education prior to traveling. So the earliest you could travel is the end of your freshman year. Seniors, if you are planning on graduating in May of 2022, unfortunately, you won't be able to participate as you'll have graduated prior to the commencement of the program. So you kind of need, if that applies to you, if you're a senior that really wants to study abroad, then touch base with me later on in the week or in the next week or so, and we can kind of talk through what that might look like for you if you do intend to try and study abroad. So the application deadline is January 5th, 2022. So all applications for this program must be in at that point. It is an online application, so you will sort of complete it all online. You can start your application now and save it and kind of do it piece by piece. I would say if you needed to sit down and do it all at once, it wouldn't take more than an hour or two if you had all of your sort of documents all ready to go. There is a $150 application fee that you'll need to submit as part of applying for the program. That will be refunded if you are not admitted to the program or if the program is canceled for any reason. There will be some personal questions that they'll ask. There are also some sort of long answer essay type questions that you'll need to be prepared to answer. I will say that many times we don't have a lot of information to go off of. So those applicant questions, I think there's 3 or 4 of them that you'll want to answer to give us a good idea, you know, and I always tell students, well, we don't want like, you know, a 10-page essay. We also want more than 1 or 2 sentences. So you got to be prepared to kind of clearly articulate, you know, why you want to participate in this program. In years past, there also has been a short interview process that students have had to go through where they've met with Professor Ibaraki for sort of a 10 to 15 minute interview so that he can kind of make a decision based on the students as to who would be a good fit for the program. I will say in years past, we have, you know, had a small wait list for the program. It's hard to tell this year what COVID will do to applications. So I always advise that students kind of have a second preference for program in the back of their mind. While I don't want you to discourage you from your first preference, I want to make sure that you are prepared should you not be offered a spot in the program. Again, your passport application. So if you haven't begun your, if you don't have a valid passport, I would recommend that you begin application for that passport now. And then notification of admission. So we'll reach the January 5th deadline. We'll evaluate all the student applications, and probably somewhere in mid-January to early February, we will be sending notification of admission to students with further instructions. Typically, once you receive that, you'll have instructions on what course to register and any sort of preparation meetings that we'll have for spring semester. If you are waitlisted for the program, we'll also give you some instructions there. And typically there's an opportunity to kind of transfer your application to another program should the need arise. As far as COVID-19 and global education, unfortunately, COVID still continues to be something that we have to keep an eye on as it pertains to global education. While we are proceeding cautiously with summer 2022 plans for education abroad, we are well aware that COVID may impact our ability to send students on study abroad for next summer as well. So we will make a decision somewhere in late January, early February as to the viability of each of our programs. At this point, it won't be an all or nothing. Typically, we will evaluate on a program by program basis based on the COVID situation in country, restrictions in the country for students to travel, So in some countries, I think Japan still has a quarantine requirement for when you enter the country. So, you know, if you're looking at quarantining for 2 weeks upon arrival, your 2-week program is going to be spent in quarantine if we opt to send. So we take many things into consideration. You know, the situation here is obviously one of them, but certainly we are beginning to see more students go abroad. So it is looking more and more positive that we will be able to send students on education abroad for summer 2022. I will hold off on questions. I do have a short video to share. Let me bring it up here. Again, please feel free if you have questions to jot them into the Q&A and we can address them at the end of the meeting. Let's see. All right, can you hear it? right. So before we move into questions, Professor Ibaraki, do you have anything you'd like to share with the group?
Actually, I have a website showing the details of the program. That is the website address u.osu.edu/Japan. u.osu.edu/Japan. The site contains the video blogs of students, text blogs, photos from previous trips, and also it's a link to the YouTube channels for the program as well. So if you want the details, you can actually go to the website and find more details about it. But as I mentioned in the videos, I started this program, because, I'd like to have a real experience, it's not really experience, put it this way. The experience you can expect by visiting Japan is way different from what I expect from the study in a lecture setting. You actually see patients who are suffered by mercury poisoning in Minamata. You actually see a storyteller who lost her grandma due to cadmium poisoning in Toyama Prefecture, that is Itai disease. Also, you're going to see a storyteller in Hiroshima who lost her aunts and by nuclear bomb. And, you can watch, videos of, those storytellers sayings in your lecture setting, but actually being there and actually listen to them in person is way more different experience. And also, we're going to visit area affected by tsunami about 10 years ago in Japan. You may know about tsunami, but you actually visit the elementary school which lost a bunch of I think about 200, 100, 150 students due to the tsunami. And you actually see the school remains and actually see parents who lost their children due to tsunami. And actually being there and seeing there and listen to them what's happens is really good experience for you to understand environments and human society and understand public health in Japan and many things. So it's not really, I would say, study abroad, generally speaking, it's not really cheap travels. But I would say this will be a good investment for most of you, all of you, to kind of explore yourself to different culture, different setting, and different field. And definitely they're going to help you for driving yourself to a new step, for the futures. So I really appreciate, I appreciate if you could join the program with me for the next summer's program. So.
All right, we do have one question. Someone has asked, will the program fee be available before the January 5th deadline? I really hope so. That is always our goal, is to have a program fee ready to go before we ask students to apply. If we don't, sometimes we delay the application deadline. We understand that students want to know, details about what they're committing to prior to submitting an application. So we kind of take it on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes we have a program fee to announce. Sometimes we have an estimate or a close estimate if we're kind of, very close to establishing the program fee. But we are aware, and we try not to make students apply for programs that they don't know sort of the cost for. So I will also say, education abroad is, and global education is a great opportunity for students to kind of get to know, obviously their peers, but also have the opportunity to get to know the faculty at Ohio State on a more personal basis, kind of traveling with them, and you'll get to hear about what they do at the university. I'm sure that Professor Ibaraki has written many recommendations for students who have traveled on the program. So students will come back, and it's one thing to interact with your professor in the classroom, but to sort of have the kind of experiences that you get on education abroad and have those interactions with your faculty and the staff people from Ohio State. I think that it's invaluable, and it can definitely provide some great resources for you in the future when it comes to applying for grad school or other opportunities at the university. So the other questions? Unfortunately, we don't have too many students, alumni from the program still left at the university. We kind of lost quite a big contingent of students because we didn't send people abroad for 2 years. So we don't have alumni, but previous students that have participated in the program have by and large had a wonderful time. We've had both public health majors and non-public health majors apply. So you don't have to feel like you have to have a background or knowledge in public health to be successful or to enjoy the program, just an interest in the subject area. So there's 2 questions. The deadline to apply is January 5th. So as long as you have your application in by then, you'll be considered. You can submit applications now. And if you want to kind of get it off your plate, you can also begin your application now and submit it at a later date. Some students, kind of are a little overwhelmed with, their regular classes up until break. So sometimes students will kind of put it all off until December break when they have a little more time to sit down and concentrate on it. There is a question for you, Professor Ibaraki. What has been your favorite aspect about the program?
Everything, put it this way. Everything. As I mentioned, I like this, I really like this trip. You're gonna expect, also I have very different experience than what I can do is in the lecture setting. I can talk about, for example, tsunami, I can talk about itai disease, Minamata disease, whatever. In the lecture room, my lecture is nothing compared to actually seeing the patient and listen to their story. Their story is way more strong than I can provide. So I grew up in Japan. I knew about, itai disease and Minamata disease. I knew about it, but when I went to their first time to listen to their storyteller's talk, I was so impressed, and also because I had to translate Japanese to English, to be honest, I could not translate. I mean, their story is so strong. So, I really like you guys gonna have the same experience I had over there. And as I mentioned, yes, I like all aspects. It's gonna work for everybody, but it's worth doing that, I'd say.
Are there any other questions? Those are good questions.
If you have any question about the program itself, please shoot email to me. My address is ibaraki.1@osu.edu. And if you want the details about program arrangement and everything, you can contact Jennifer about that. So in trip itself, yeah, just shoot email to me. And also, if you want to see me in person or over Zoom, you can do that as well.
Yeah, the same with our office. We're meeting with students virtually and in person. So, we can set up an appointment time to meet if you want further information. Like I was mentioning, the application, I really would encourage students to kind of invest some time and energy into those applicant questions. There's about 4 questions kind of asking you sort of why you want to participate in this program, and what you hope to bring to the program and how you plan to prepare. I would encourage you to really invest some energy into, kind of articulating your answers in a concise way. Again, aside from sort of your GPA and your academic side of things, we don't really have a lot of information on you to go by. So this is your chance to kind of sell yourself for the program and provide information about why you think you are the best candidate for participation. Are there any other questions? So somebody's asked, will there be an interview portion of the application as it has been in the past? Are you planning to conduct interviews, Professor Ibaraki?
Yes, there's no anticipated question at this point. I want to, the whole purpose of the interview is I want to know who you are. I want to know how insidious is, insidious you guys to go to Japan with me. So I want to see who you are. That's the main things. That's the basic things. I don't have any particular question to ask at this point.
Nothing to be worried about, just an extra added step.
Yeah.
So if we do decide to have, if you do decide to do interviews, we'll contact you after the application deadline to set up a time to meet with you. So someone has asked, can this also double as a public health capstone? Yes, this course can be used as your public health capstone. There are some requirements that you have to do on campus prior to going, but it is approved to act as your public health capstone. As far as I know, at this point, this is the only pre-approved program that can act as your public health capstone. I'm not sure that there are any other education abroad programs that are pre-approved at this point. There may be some that they are willing to consider, but this one is definitely approved for your capstone.
If you want to use this course as a capstone, you should talk with your advisor in your college first to make sure you actually do preparations with respect to fulfilling the requirements. So,
have you seen the study abroad program ever be used as a general education course? Professor Ibaraki, do you know if students have ever had this approved as a GE in the past?
I'm not sure. I don't know that, and I'm not sure, put it that way.
I would start with your academic advisor to see if they have any idea of whether or not it has been counted. I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility that it could count as a GE, but it's not pre-approved at this point to count as a GE. So I would start with your advisor or meet with the transfer credit coordinator in the college where you hope to get the credit for, and see where you go from there. Are there any other questions? So I've also been advising students who are kind of on the fence about studying abroad in 2022 or 2023. I guess my advice is, considering COVID is still here for 2022, our portfolio of programs that we're going to be able to offer is still slightly limited. So if you have the chance to possibly postpone it until 2023, I would encourage you to consider that. Some students are, kind of locked into 2022. This is their last chance. But if you are kind of on the fence, I would say give yourself as much time as possible. The other thing that I've advised students is that, if you apply for 2022, have it in the back of your mind that, I might have another opportunity in 2023 to participate in this program if it's canceled. So I just want I want to manage students' expectations. I know that some have been kind of put off study abroad because of COVID now for 2 years. So I know there's been a lot of disappointment. So I just want to make sure that students are kind of thinking of a backup plan or a second choice or something else, either a program or another opportunity for this summer if this falls through, or 2023 as an option for education abroad. While we're hopeful and I want to send students abroad, get back to, the job that I was hired to do. We never thought COVID would be here for this long and affecting our jobs. So we're just kind of trying to help students make good choices and avoid disappointment. So we will hang around. That's the end of the formal presentation. We'll hang around for a little bit. If you do have other questions, otherwise you can kind of feel free to hop out of the room and go about the rest of your afternoon. So thank you very much for attending. It's a fabulous program. So I would encourage you guys to kind of, start getting things in a row and getting your application ready to go. So